Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutravashakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavatyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Dayakaram 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 Dantan Dharma Pravartakam Dantan Dharma Pravartakam Pranamami Dayanandam Madacharya Varam Param Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha We will also chant the prayer verses. Natva Vivarati Tirtha Vidyaranyamunishvara Adhimahe Pañcadaśīm Kaivalya Padasiddhaye. Once more. Natva Shri Bharati Tirtha Vidyaranyamunishvaro Adhimahe Pañcadaśīm Kaivalya Padasiddhaye. Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padam Bhujanmane Savilasa Mahamoha Graha Grasaika Karmane Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padam Bhujanmane Savilasa Mahamoha Graha Graseka Karmane. So we saw these two prayer verses yesterday, and we understand these prayer verses to be part of the tradition for any text. So the prayer verses are for blessing the pursuit of self-knowledge. The prayer verses are to acknowledge Ishvara's grace in the pursuit, the Guru's grace in the pursuit, and also one's own blessing, because we have 4 types of blessing that the Shastra talks about. We have Ishvara Kripa. Ishvara's blessing is needed for this pursuit. Guru Kripa, the teacher's blessing needed for the pursuit. We have Shastra Kripa. The words of the Vedanta text should also reveal themselves to you. when you see or when you hear the text, the knowledge should take place in the mind. So that is called Shastra Kripa. And finally, we need one last blessing, which is Atma Kripa, my self blessing, my pursuit. I have to understand that my self, the Atma, is the true reality. So myself is a blessing for this pursuit. So we saw this yesterday, and now we enter into the introduction to the first chapter, which is with the actual second, it's Mark 2, it's the second verse, because the first verse is the two prayer verses. And in this verse, another aspect of Vedanta teaching is brought into this verse, and that is Anubandha Chatushtaya. I'm not sure whether you've heard of this, but it is called Anubandha Chatushtaya, not to be confused with Sadhana Chatushtaya. You may have heard of Sadhana Chatushtaya, which is the fourfold sadhanas or the practices that are needed for preparing the mind. Here it is called Anubandha Chatushtaya. And Anubandha Chatushtaya are the four factors that link the student with the text. What is the connection between student and the text is revealed in four factors. So this is another thing which is beautiful in the tradition. Within the verses, these four factors are unfolded. We will see what those four factors are. We can chant the second verse. Every line or every section you can repeat twice after me. Tatpadam buruhat dvandva.
Tatpadam buruhat dvandva. Tatpadam buruhat dvandva.
Seva nirmala chetasam.
Seva nirmala chetasam. Seva nirmala chetasam.
Sukhabodhaya tattvasya.
Sukhabodhaya tattvasya. Sukhabodhaya tattvasya.
Vivekoyam vidhiyate.
Vivekoyam vidhiyate. Vivekoyam vidhiyate.
Whole verse together. Tatpadam puruha dvandva. Seva nirmala chetasam. Sukhabodhaya tattvasya. Vivekoyam vidhiyate. So, as I said, this is an invocation again, and also a statement of purpose. What is the purpose of studying Pañcadaśī as a text? And also he introduces the first chapter, which is called Tattva-viveka, Viveka Prakaranam. So there are four, as I said, four factors that bind a person, the student, to the text that is going to be studied. First he says vidhiyate. Vidhiyate is the verb. So when you look at when you analyze a verse in the Shastra, you always go for the verb first because the verb will reveal the subject. So here, vidhiyate, it's passive, is being discussed, is being written, vidhiyate. And what is being discussed? He says, I am vidhiyate. This is being discussed. So this is what is called anvaya in Sanskrit. So Sanskrit is a very beautiful language, lovely to hear, but extremely difficult to do the logical, fitting together of the words. So the chandas or the meter of chanting implies that you can have any word anywhere in the actual verse. There's no syntax in Sanskrit. In most languages, there's some syntax, some structure. In Sanskrit, the ending reveals the case, ending reveals the gender. So you can put any word anywhere in the sentence, it still makes sense. So here, I am vidiyate, this is being discussed. And what is this? Vivekaha. I am vivekaha vidiyate. This viveka is being presented in this text, and viveka, and sometimes people get confused between two words, vichara and viveka. You may have heard vichara also. Vichara is a general inquiry. Vichara is a general analysis. But vivekaha is very important to understand. Vivekaha always between two things mixed up. There is a swan, hamsaha. Hamsaha is the Sanskrit word for swan. But it is a mystical bird. That hamsa, now it's called swan, but in those ancient times it was a mystical bird. And it had a very special ability, this hamsaha. It could separate milk from water. So it had this ability to separate two things which looked like one, they're mixed up. So in the same way here, in our minds, what is absolutely real is mixed up with what is dependently real, what is as though real. And this mix up is so, it looks like one, like the milk and water. We can't see the water in the milk unless you have tikshna, you have very, very sharp discernment. So that is what he says here. This sharp discernment, this vivekaha, is going to be presented, it's going to be given to you. Two things are mixed up. The truth is mixed up for the untruth, for the non-real or as though real. What we face now in this transactional reality, according to Vedānta, is as though real. It is not absolutely real. Even quantum physics is coming to this as though reality. Because any object you examine in this jagat, is it truly solid? Is it truly real? Does it really have any substance? No, everything cognitively you can break down everything into further and further parts. Those parts have their causes. So whole jagat you see here is nothing but effects and causes. Effects resolve into the causes. Those causes are seen to be effects. They resolve into further causes. Those causes resolve into further causes. Where do we end up? Everything in the jagat ends up. Then scientists will say we end up with particles. We end up with boson, quarks. Even those are being broken down into further and further concepts because they're so small we can't even understand, so subtle. So in fact, what is this jagat? That is what Maya Shakti does. It makes a gatita gatana patiyasi Maya. Maya, the Shakti of Ishvara, makes the impossible possible. That is what, the impossible is what? That one can appear as many, but she makes it possible. Because Upanishad reveals what? There is only one thing here, which is pure consciousness. Then what is all the multiplicity we see? All the differences we see? That is all dependently real. When you break everything down, in fact, there is nothing. And all the effects have to resolve into one ultimate cause. Because otherwise we will go into infinite regression. Effect, cause, like this. There has to be one ultimate basis. We don't say substratum. You read that in many places. We don't call it substratum because there's no solid thing here. It is consciousness. Whole jagat, Shastra says, ultimately is a superimposition on that one truth, which is consciousness. So this is what he says here. Ayam Tattva-viveka vidhiyate. This discernment is going to be done, the title of the first chapter. And throughout the first chapter, we're going to see three states of awareness, of experience. He's going to take up many ways of discerning the tattva, the reality, from the atattva, which is as though real. one way it is really mixed up and we get confused is in the names and forms, especially with human beings. Human beings, it's very difficult to recognize the tattva in the human being because the drishti, my vision, is rooted in the personality, is rooted in the name, form, and function of the particular being. And this is where, again, very, very subtle mind is required for this knowledge. Because as I see the name and form and function, immediately the recognition should come what? This is nothing but Brahman. This is pure consciousness. The personality, the name, the form is mithya. It is just coming and going. Everybody's coming and going, names and forms. But the essence of everyone, essence of everything is the one truth. So this is what he's going to discuss here. And the text is written for what purpose? That also he says in the first verse, Sukha Bodhaya. Sukha Bodhaya. Sukha we've understood to be happiness. Here, Sukha means easy, easy Bodhaya, for easy understanding. He's saying here, I'm going to make the Tattva-viveka discernment without tears. Discernment 101. Discernment made easy. With all the examples that he's going to bring here for use, he's going to make it easy. And who is the target audience? He says Tat Padam Buruhu here, Nirmala Chetasam. The target audience, mainly Nirmala Chetasam. Nirmala means pure. Chetasam here means pure-hearted. English heart, somebody asked the question in the other retreat actually, what is the difference between heart and mind? Because we only have two words in English. So the Sanskrit has many, many words to cover this phenomenon of mind. Mind is only a bundle of thoughts, varying different types of thoughts. So in Sanskrit, that has been very well analyzed. Different names have been given for different types of thinking. And what about the heart? So the heart actually in English refers to the Sanskrit manaha aspect of thinking. Heart, manaha, is the Sanskrit word which covers all our emotions, it covers all our desires, it covers the fancies, it covers the changing nature of the mind, the thoughts, sankalpa vikalpatmakam manaha, that keeps jumping like a monkey. That manaha is what in English we refer to as heart. The seat of emotions is manaha, heart. So here he uses the word chetasam. Chetasam is also referring to this mind, but it's referring to the whole antahkarana, nirmala, purified thoughts, purified faculty of thinking. What does it mean to be pure? We're going to see. We're going to see that a little bit, into the verse, but purified can generally be grasped through karma yoga. To get a purified mind, we know that karma yoga becomes one type of practice that a person can engage in. And we have other ways of purifying the mind. Giving is also a way of purifying oneself. Giving in dhanam, giving charity, that is purifying. And we have other upasanas, meditation, all of this can also purify. So he says here, how does this person, he also mentions in this verse, how does this person get this purified mind? Here he specifically says in one way, Pada Seva Nirmala Chetasam Amburuha Dvandva. Amburuha Dvandva means pair of lotuses which are born in water. And these pair of lotuses refer to the feet of the Guru that we saw in the previous verse. He says here, those people have developed the purity of mind by doing seva, by serving the feet of the Guru. What does that mean? Daily massage the feet? No. Swamiji used to say, daily foot massage, is not what the Guru Seva is really about. Some people get confused with this feet thing. So they want to press the Guru's feet all the time. So feet, service to the feet literally means following the instructions given by the teacher. Generally, the instructions will be given for the purpose of you progressing. So whatever seva is given for each and every individual, it's like a medicine that is for that person. It is specific for that person, and at the same time, the seva can also help others. When you do seva, that is the side benefit. But mainly, the teacher will give service which will help the shishya, the disciple, to grow. So he says Nirmala Chetas is a person here who has developed this purity of mind through following the instructions of the teacher and doing the service for the sake of Antavkarna Shuddhi. It is very clear. We're not doing the seva for any acclaim. We're not doing the seva even for validation from Guru, because that's another reason. We want to be validated. Teacher should love me. Teacher doesn't have. If the teacher has preferences, giving seva to be loved, then that person is not a teacher. The seva is given for your own growth. It's not given for any other external validation. And you have to see that more and more. So this is very important to understand. I know that sometimes also the seva that is given may not be the seva you like. If you be very careful when you approach a teacher and ask for seva, because many times a teacher may give you something that pushes your limits or pushes the way what you think you can do, and the teacher gets to know what the student's mind is after a course of time. When you're living together, you can imagine in a Gurukulam, the teacher is observing, students are also observing the teacher, but the teacher may give some seva which you think I cannot do. I know certain masters who do that. Why don't you do this? But Swamiji, I've never done this before. Hey, try it now. Do it. So the fear, always we find the mind is our main obstacle. Immediately the mind, when something unknown is given to us, what happens? Mind immediately say, no, I can't do it. There's a vritti. Usually that is the first thought. I'm saying usually. Exceptions are there. People may think, okay, I can do it. But this is the attitude to develop. What is it we're going to lose by trying? What is it we're going to lose? At least we give it a shot. So whatever is opening up for us, even this cooking, I was thinking about it, cooking for this number, there must be a bit of anxiety. Will there be enough food for everybody? Will everybody be fed? Everybody has to participate. It is a seva. This is a seva for one's own growth. In the Gurukulam, again, this kind of Gurukulam atmosphere, these type of stretching the limit are given. Usually we're used to cooking for one person, two people, or a few more people. But here we're cooking for 25. Is it going to be okay? This is where I have to trust. Whatever comes is Ishvara. Whatever comes is Ishvara's wish. And there's always something to eat. It doesn't matter. Whatever comes, that is the seva attitude. Seva is beautiful to purify the mind because it gets rid of more and more you do service. The anxiety, the fear of not getting the result that one desires, all of this starts dissolving because you recognize, I'm just instrumental in this action. That is the whole idea. We're all instrumental in many things in life. And more I see, I'm just, the beautiful analogy we use in India, Krishna's flute. Krishna has a wooden flute. In India, the flutes are wooden and they're hollow inside. And when Krishna wants to play tunes, one has to remain hollow, like the flute. So if the Lord wants to play his tunes through you, you have to empty out that ahankara from that flute. So this is how we learn to do seva. There is no me here. I am an instrument. Seva has been given. It is an opportunity to grow. Let me keep ahankara aside and just serve to the best of my ability. So he is beautiful. He says here, service to the Guru gives you antaf-karna shuddhi nirmala chetasa. And other ways, means, as I said, are there. Even the rituals, this puja, chanting, all of this is for antaf-karna shuddhi. But we have to understand one thing, that moksha, liberation, is gained through knowledge alone. There is no other way. No action has access to moksha. So all of these are just preparing steps. So now we come to this Anubandha Chatushtayam. Anubandha Chatushtayam also talks about what we really want. So we've seen that in the past sessions. That is called sadhya. Sadhya means the goal. We're very clear. There's a goal here. Then if there's a goal, there has to be a means to achieve that goal. And that goal is called sadhyam in Sanskrit. Sadhyam is goal. Sadhana is the means to achieve sadhyam or sadhya. You can use both Sanskrit words. So what are the means we need to adopt? We have to be very clear about the means. There's a story that's traditionally told about a woman. She drops her ring in her house inside, and it's very dark in the room inside. And she goes straight immediately outside and starts searching for the ring around the well where there's light. Then suddenly, as human beings usually do, they cannot keep quiet. So people walking past, they see her looking on the ground. Immediately somebody will come. What are you looking for? She said, I'm looking for my ring. So everybody, the whole crowd starts looking for her ring. Nobody can find it anywhere. And then somebody finally asks, where did you lose it? She said, in the house. I lost my ring in the house. Then they said, why are you searching for it here? Because it's dark out inside, it's light here. This is exactly what we are doing. We're not clear. We are looking for happiness. We know we're looking for the ring of happiness, but where are we looking for the ring of happiness? So sadhana is not clear. The means to switch on the light in the room inside. Here, the means, the goal is sadhya, sadhyam, and the means is sadhana. We have to know where to find it. So that is why this anubandha, I said, this fourfold factors are brought in to make it very clear what the means are, what you're looking for, what the purpose of the text is. No Vedanta text will go without a verse that has these four factors. So it's very good for you to, if you want to study further Vedanta, to know these four factors. First is Vishaya. Vishaya means subject matter. What is the subject matter of the text? That is stated in this verse. Tattva-viveka, the reality to be known. Tattva-viveka, the discriminative analysis regarding the absolute reality, tattva here. So what is the truth? In Vedanta, we know this absolute truth is revealed as one pure consciousness, which is called in many ways. People get confused sometimes with all the Sanskrit words, Brahman, Ishvara. All of these words point to the one thing, but from different angles. So we'll see when we use the word, which angle we're looking at the truth, one truth from. Again, to make the truth clear. But the ultimate reality is only one. And that Brahman is also oneself. So this is the reality that is revealed. This is called Vishaya in Sanskrit. Subject matter of the text is the discernment of one's real nature from what is false, what is as though real. It is not absolutely real. And What is absolutely real? We have to understand what is absolutely real is not what I see with my perception. What is absolutely real, I take to be what my sense perceptions reveal. And this is where I have to understand there is a saying in Sanskrit, yet drishyam tattam tat jadam. Whatever is perceived is inert. Whatever is perceived externally is inert. This is a very interesting thing to understand because what I see, I think, people are moving, people are talking to me, I'm interacting with this world. How can I say what I see is inert or what I perceive is inert? If you examine, let's take a human being. If you look at a human being, what are you actually perceiving? What are you seeing? You are seeing only the body. You are seeing the physical body. When you open your eyes or you look at somebody, are you seeing what enlivens the physical body? The physical body is jadam, it is inert. Because earth to earth, ashes to ashes, one day it is going to go. So, in the same way, I recognize that whatever I perceive in this jagat, this is only inert. Then what recognizes consciousness? How do I recognize a conscious being? How do I recognize life in anything in this world? That is purely cognitive understanding. I recognize that there is life in that being. There is something that enlivens that body, that keeps that body breathing, walking, talking. And when that body falls off, that life seems to disappear. We don't know what that life is. We'll see as well. That's another discriminative analysis he does. But in the first verse itself of the teaching, Vidyaranya begins with consciousness. We're going to see this in the afternoon session, but he begins with the full knowledge of that one vastu, that one entity that enlivens all the names and forms and the bodies that we see. So, what I perceive, remember the rule in Vedanta, whatever I perceive is not real. And this is very strange for us because we have been programmed to thinking whatever I perceive is absolutely real. But here, Vedanta is again reprogramming the brain to see this jagat, including ourselves, in a totally different light. So, this is the first one, Vishaya. The Vishaya, the subject matter of this text, is this discriminative analysis. And Vidyaranya uses the waking state, the sleep state, the dream state. He uses our states of experiences. He uses many ways for us to see the difference between what is absolutely real and what is as though real. Drik-drishya-viveka is another technique he loves to use. He's written a book on a full text on Drik-drishya-viveka. This is what I was just talking about, the seer-seen analysis. How the subject is the seer and everything else is object. So it is seen, it is perceived. And that subject itself, finally he goes into the text, the ultimate seer, the seer of the subject, the sakshi, drigeva natu drishyate, he says in the first verse itself, beyond that seer, there is no other seer. So very beautifully, Vidyaranya, with all these techniques that are methodologies called prakriyas in Vedanta, he unfolds this vastu. Then the verse that we have just seen also discusses the second point of Anubandha Chatushtaya. It is called Prayojanam. So first we had Vishaya, subject matter. This verse reveals Prayojanam. Prayojanam is also important. What are the benefits? We're all benefit thinking, right? What do I get if I do this? We want to know the results. So he says here, Sukha Bodhaya. The benefit of this study for gaining knowledge, easily gaining knowledge. Sukha bodhaya, for easy gain of knowledge. So easy understanding of the truth. So here he's saying the benefit of this, even this first chapter study, is pain-free understanding. There's no pain involved. At least in his view, he wants to make it pain-free. And he says, here he meets the student at the level of the mind of the student. So Sukha Bodhaya, very beautiful word, using simple language, day-to-day examples. This is very important in Vedanta communication. It should not be something, the text should not divorce you from your day-to-day living, your daily living. And this was the uniqueness of Pujya Swamiji's teaching. If you read his texts, he made these ancient texts full of Sanskrit words, Sanskrit verses. He made them very relevant to modern day and age, which is very unique in the way of communication. Because if it doesn't change my life now, then what is the use of the study? I can study it academically very easily. I can go to university and take many courses on Upanishads and Vedanta. But the purpose is what? It is for gain of knowledge and is to understand how this knowledge can help me in my life. Ultimately, that is what we all want, right? We want this knowledge to impact our lives, transform ourselves. We are here for self-transformation. And ultimately, when I transform myself, the world starts miraculously transforming. In fact, the world doesn't transform. What really happens, my perception of situations, people, and everything starts changing. That's what Vedanta does. Your perception starts shifting. With that perception shift, you think, oh my God, everything's changed so much. Things that you used to react to before become much more easier to handle. This is the sign of growth in Vedanta. Somebody beautifully said, one of the acharyas, FIR. So frequency of reaction reduces. FIR, reduction. Frequency of reactions reduce. Before I used to be very reactive. Anything that happened which was against my likes, immediately there would be some reaction. And everybody would know about my reaction. You could see my reaction. My BP will go up. My stress levels will go up. I'd start sweating. I said this, they've done some research. They say, I don't know how they have found this, but in any moment of reaction or, emotional outburst, anger, or anything like that, 3 months of lifespan is reduced, they say. So 3 months of my lifespan, I'm reducing. But don't worry, if anger happens, you can't help it, okay? So one shouldn't feel guilty. Oh, 3 months have gone now. No. But we learn to manage our anger. That is the whole trick. We cannot control our anger, but we can learn to manage our anger. So here he says, Sukha Bodhaya, for the purpose of gaining this knowledge very easily. He gives all these examples. And he is not a mystic teacher. He doesn't teach in a mystic way with all adjectives. Again, the communication is very important. So they're very down-to-earth verses, very logical. Vidyaranya is known for that. The next thing that he talks about, prayojanam, to add just a bit more, prayojanam in this text is Sukhabodhaya, but ultimately, the ultimate prayojanam, the ultimate means, phalam, the fruit of this knowledge is ananda prapti, or gaining ananda, my limitlessness, discovery of limitlessness. We keep hearing these three words, Sat, Chit, Ananda. Actually, we're not interested in Sat. Who is interested? Who knows existence really? We hear these words, sound nice. Existence, okay, fine, sounds nice. Chit, consciousness, okay, nice, sounds nice as well. But when we hear Ananda, immediately eyes brighten. Ananda, that is our pursuit. Ananda is what we are all after. Sat Chit is equal to Ananda anyway, but when Ananda comes, we know. So, Prayojanam, purpose, he brings in with Sukha Bodhaya is this Paramananda. Paramananda Prapti, gain of the highest limitlessness, highest Ananda, and Atyanta Dukkha Nivritti, which means the removal of all sorrow. All our life, we want these two things only. Atyanta Dukkha Nivritti, removal of all sorrow, and the gain of the highest happiness. And all the Vedanta texts, the Palam, they promise this. Every Vedanta text you study, it will begin with this Anubaddha Chatushtayam. Prayojanam will always indicate these two things. Then the third factor, Anubandha Chatushtayam, very important factor that comes, Adhikari. Who is the qualified person to receive this knowledge? That is also mentioned in the verse. And one of these four factors. So who is the qualified Adhikari, the one who is fit for this knowledge? Specifically, he mentions here, as we saw, Tat Padam Buraha Dvandva Seva Nirmala Chetasam. The ones whose minds has been purified by service. And this is very important because it brings in two attitudes that are important to develop for a person who wants to discover moksha. And these two attitudes come even in the Upanishads. Kaivalya Upanishads mentions them. Throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna constantly mentions these two, Shraddha and Bhakti. Shraddha means literally not a belief or faith. Shraddha is a commitment pending discovery. A commitment to something pending discovery means that you see for yourself. Commit yourself to this knowledge. Study Vedanta. Listen to the text, however long it takes. It is not like, again, Vedanta never promises quick results. This is a disclaimer. Everyone should say, if you come to Vedanta, don't expect overnight success. There will be many falls, there will be many rises, but ultimately this knowledge will free you for good. Everything else is like just a balm on the wound. When you have a wound and you keep putting balm, the wound keeps reappearing, and you're trying to put the wound on the balm. All the techniques and everything, they're wonderful for many things, but they're just putting balm on the wound. Here we're talking about Atyanta Dukkha Nivritti, the ultimate removal of sorrow, is to see yourself free from this pairs of opposites. Because the whole life here is lived in pairs of opposites. 1 minute up, 1 minute down, 1 minute dark, 1 minute light. Everything we face here is pairs of opposites. Imagine suddenly your vision shifting to transcending these pairs of opposites. While living in the pairs of opposites, the promise is you can transcend the pairs of opposites through knowledge. So then the pairs of opposites don't affect you any longer. We need not go up and down with that. So here he says this adhikari is one who has shraddha, which is the commitment pending discovery, and bhakti, beautiful quality. Bhakti means a devotional attitude. This also helps with humility, developing humility. Bhakti, some people, who study Vedanta, they say we don't have this bhakti. Swamiji used to say, fake it and make it. Fake it and make it, because if you act devotional, you become devotional. It takes, but without devotion, devotion is the fuel for this knowledge. Without bhakti, it is very difficult for gaining adhikaritvam. So bhakti actually becomes a practice. Devotion is a practice. Devotion is not an emotion crying for, sometimes the devotees are, in all cultures, are depicted as always sobbing for the Lord. Oh, when will I become one with you? Why are you punishing me like this? We hear all the, even the mystic poets, they're saying, why are you keeping me away from you? When am I going to become one? tears flowing down our face. That is also, devotion, because your mind is focused on Ishvara. But true devotion is using the instruments given to you in service of the divine. What are the instruments given to us? Mind, number one instrument. I serve the divine with my mind, which means I serve, like Ramana Maharishi beautifully said, I serve this world, which is the form of divinity. I serve mentally, meaning I offer my thoughts to the service of everything. All the beings, all the bhutas, Jagata Ishadi, Yukta Sevanam, take to the service of the world. Serving the world is serving Ishvara. Ashtamurti Brit, Deva Pujanam, that is real worship. So bhakti is using your mind, first instrument, even your speech, second instrument we have. So whatever I speak, satyam bruyat, I speak what is true. Hitam bruyat, I speak what is beneficial to others. Priyam bruyat, I speak what is pleasant. And there's a qualification to this using the vak. Satyamapi, even if it is the truth, apriyam na bruyat, don't speak that which is unpleasant. So this is also a tapas. Vak tapas comes throughout the scriptures. You see this management of the tongue, because tongue is used in two. It's got a very high place amongst the organs, because it has a place in the karmendriya, organs of action, which is yap, yap, yap. And it has a place in the jnanendriyas, organs of knowledge, which is taste. Talk and taste are our biggest enemies. Both get us into trouble many times. So vak tapas is highly praised in all the texts to build up this adhikaritvam, qualifications for Vedanta. So he says here, the qualified adhikari is a person whose mind is ripened by these qualities and attitudes of Shraddha and Bhakti. Such a person is a Shishya, real Shishya. So we have different, I'm not sure how much Sanskrit you've all studied, but I know you've studied a lot of Vedanta for many years. So it's nice for you all to know these Sanskrit words and their meanings as well. So in Sanskrit, we have various words for student. We have Shishya, which is a disciple. We have Vidyarthi, is a student. Vidyarthi is the one who is after Vidya, the one who is after knowledge. Vidyarthi, student. We have also Antevasi. Antevasi means the one who lives with the teacher in the Gurukulam and may not, just does the listening, but more in service of the teacher. So Antevasi is a student who is not so much after the knowledge, but enjoys just serving the teacher, Antevasi. But Shishya, that is why Arjuna used the word Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. He didn't say Vidyarthi. He used the Sanskrit word Shishya. And Shishya's derivation in Sanskrit, Vyutpatti, is Sikshayogyaha iti Shishyaha. The one who is fit to be taught is the Shishya. The one who is fit to be taught. Beautiful word for disciple. So a true disciple, Shishya, is one who is fit, is an adhikari, fit to receive this knowledge. So this is the sadhana this is the anubandha, the third one, adhikari. I will just finish with the final one. The adhikari is the one fit to receive the self-knowledge. And the last anubandha, the last factor is called sambandha, the connection. So connection means two or more things are involved. So what is this? Let's see the connection. In this study, I am involved. So the first factor is me. I am involved because I'm the knower of this knowledge. Second factor is the textbook. Pañcadaśī is the textbook, second factor. Third factor is Brahman. Brahman is that which is being studied. the consciousness, or that being revealed. Fourth is the knowledge that is involved. And fifth is moksha. Moksha is liberation, total freedom. We've seen what moksha means. So these connections, sambandha, between all of these have to be understood very clearly. So the first connection is between myself and the textbook. What is the connection? You can see how elaborately the rishis have analyzed this. It's incredible. When you look through how they have analyzed and how they have actually communicated all of this to make the student or the one studying see that there are many, many factors involved in assimilation of this knowledge. So you have to understand these connections further, because that will help you assimilate what is being said. Between me and the textbook, what is this connection? Between me and the textbook, pramata, there is pramana, the means. So the textbook and myself, I am the knower, and the means of knowledge is the text, pramana. So Pañcadaśī is the pramana. Between the text and Brahman, what is the connection? That is called, there are some technical words in Sanskrit. I'm not going to talk about that. I will say in English. Revealer, revealed connection between Brahman and the textbook. Revealer, revealed connection, right? So this is a connection because what is revealed is Brahman. Revealer is the textbook. Textbook means the words of Vedanta as wielded by a traditional teacher. So this is another thing that we have to understand. We cannot just have textbook by itself. Guru Shastra comes as a package deal, whether you like it or not. Guru revealing the words of Vedanta, I call it the package deal. So buy one, get one free, like that. But both come together. So here is very, very important because people only want the textbook without the other part. But this has to be a revealed. So it is called Pratipadyaka Sambandha, the revealer, revealed connection. Then there is another connection here between the pramana, means of knowledge, and the knowledge. What is the connection? It is called Janya Janaka Sambandha. The means lead to knowledge. The means lead to this self-knowledge. So there is a connection between the means and self-knowledge. And between the last connection that one needs to understand, between knowledge and moksha, what is the connection? Between knowledge and moksha, it is called Aikya Sambandha. There is no connection. Why? Because knowledge is moksha. So here it's called Aikya Sambandha, connection of oneness, because there is no connection. It is as though connected. Knowledge is liberation. Self-knowledge is liberation. So this very beautifully, Anubandha Chatushtaya, with this he finishes the introduction to the first chapter. This verse itself contains all these four factors. We can go back and look at that. There's a lot of technical things, but you can always ask me for these words. But we only have to remember four things. Vishaya, subject matter, is in the verse. Prayojanam, the purpose of the text, is mentioned. Adhikari, who the text is directed towards. So here, very clearly, the text Pañcadaśī is not directed towards university students. This is important. It's not, the actual subject matter. So you can see Adhikari. It's a different type of qualification. And finally, Sambandha, all those connections between the subject matter, the Prayojanam, means, all of this we have seen. So with that, we will enter the knowledge now, which is moksha, he says. Aikya Sambandha. There is no other way to understand moksha, only through this knowledge. We will enter in the afternoon session. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om